Friends and family, I would like for you to see how Rapid City, South Dakota is celebrating our veterans. I'm going to be doing some services at the cemetery later on today. But I just want you to see not all cities suck in America. This is what honor, duty, honor, and achievement looks like. Ain't this wonderful? Not everybody forgets everybody. So, just going to see a nice little thing here coming up for us that we can all see. And we're here in Rapid City. Got some candy. Got some candy. We got the Boy Scouts. Hey, some more candy, guys. Boy, look at this beauty right here. The American Legion. There we go, kids. Oh, beauty. Of course, that would be one of the Colonel's favorites right there. I'm hoping everybody enjoys this. This is Rapid City, South Dakota. And again, a little bit later, I'll be doing the services at the cemetery for us. God bless each and every one of you. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Even Grandma's got a cool bike. Santa's got a new sleigh. Awesome. This is what God and Country is about, ladies and gentlemen. It's about making your kids happy. It's about serving your community. There you go. We got the band coming up here, but again, doesn't matter, it's freezing out here. And the Mrs. South Dakota. And here we got the Daughters of the American Revolution, Historic Preservation, Education, Patriotism. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Now here we go. Home of the freedom, the brave, the heartbeat of the red, white, and blue. Sweet, sweet. Here you go, all my guys. Submarines. It's what's keeping us truly safe out there. It's our last line of defense. Our Minutemen 3. And this is sdguard.com. Order the Elks, BPOE. It doesn't just stand for the biggest pricks on earth. It's also the Benevolent Protector Order of Elks. My dad used to say that all the time. Here we have some more celebrations going on. I think Olivia would be having fun doing this. What do you think? Like to have her doing this probably next year or the year after. We can do that. KSLT 1071's also running the event. And here's the Vet Center right here. So if you don't mind, could you stand just a little bit back and stream this for us? Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I asked you and you didn't answer.
Alrighty, then now here we got the Hank and Martin. Okay, so now we have BH Black Hills Energy coming up for all of our men in the oil and gas industry, and everybody doing it. Doing a good job. Okay, we got another band coming up here, just so you know how we can spread this. And again, if you got kids here and you can make stuff happen, please make stuff happen. And DJ, here's a contract for us, just so you know. Keep that up in mind. We got some extra generators. Good seeing you. Here we go, Black Hills and for all of my linemen out there keeping us safe, keeping the power on, God bless each and every one of you. God bless our linemen. Here we got Central High School now, Rapid City, South Dakota. Tractor from the old days that you might enjoy. Got that going on. It's kind of like something the kids in my family do a lot of restoration on, but it's implements like that that brought agriculture to the world. Then we got Adams Machining and Welding. If you need any of that done, there's their phone number right there attached below. We have our kids doing what they do. Alrighty here. We got Dakota Fluid and Power, Service and Repair. There you go. See, this is a great little event for our kids. These are all my friends that are in the VA hospital that can't necessarily watch everything we're doing right now. I hope you're enjoying this. And this is an 852 supercharged. Sometimes you need to be in the country to see these classics that we have going on. powers that we got. Awesome.
How you rate?
And this is it right here.
Pretty good. Be in the veteran like your blood shot.
So I will be including a nomination post for me to be Secretary of Energy underneath the Trump administration. I'm going to be heading out to the VA cemetery. I'm going to be doing paying my respects and burying some people. And I will be posting a link here a little bit below. And I could use all your support. Currently, I'm being beat by Pete Buttigieg and Governor Doug Burgum out of the state of North Dakota. And Pete Buttigieg is a Democrat scumball. And other than that, Doug Bergman is a total rhino Democrat cook. Even if he's Republican, he is a California, Stanford educated criminal. He's put a CO2 pipeline across the state, and it's really just for Saudi Arabia and big oil. As you know, I'm big oil, but I'm not so big oil where I don't put the people first. This guy's a governor con artist and has been stealing everybody's land in the state in the name of CO2. Well, guess who invented CO2 fracking technology? The Barnett Shale. You're looking at him, so I'd know about this. It is totally unnecessary. It's just a clever way in which the government is stealing property from citizens. And we do not need a government or people in the energy sector or the EPA or anywhere else, people that steal from the citizens. And that's exactly what's going on with this. So I could use your support if you want to go to MAHANow.org. That's MAHANOW.org. And together we can make America healthy again. We're also doing things out here with the state that are cutting back entirely on brucellosis with cattle and also with buffalo. And wouldn't you know it, up there, if you find one of them in your herd, they're going to kill the entire herd, when that is not the way to solve this problem. These are ways in which Bill Gates and all these other people can regulate our meat and make it to where we go on an artificial substance, when that's the last thing that we need to do. So again, we don't need pretender governors pretending like they're oilmen, seizing people's land in the name of a phony CO2 pipeline. It's just going to be an actual criminal event, okay? That's all it is crime at its finest. And I want you to know that. So we're going to avoid that. We're going to keep America great. I could use your votes. It's posted on this page. There's two different departments they have me signed up for. One's under Chris Sanders, one's under Christopher Sanders. Again, Secretary of Energy and Department of Environment. But I'd like to be your representative working with Trump. The answer is to set up refineries over the basins. That way we bring jobs back here to South Dakota. Excuse me there. And then when we bring these jobs back to South Dakota, we'll be energy independent and Saudi won't steal it like they do. As you can see, this is a town. This is a town for children. This is a safe town. We don't have crime here in South Dakota. When we see MS-13, just like we saw him the other night in Deadwood, we immediately apprehended him. We immediately apprehended him and threw him in jail. And I'm going to go for the death penalty if we catch your asses with fentanyl. I'm going to hang you, because we got to protect our children. I've also had enough of this trans crap, and we're not going to have mentally ill people telling us how to raise our kids anymore. Even though I'm going to be in the Department of Energy, I'm sure I can influence people onto my stands, because you know I'm anything but quiet. I'll also show you a new way in which we're building with Adam Good and those guys. It's a new way. Instead of using 2x4s In sheetrock, we're using magnesium oxides and steel, and we can do a 25-story building that's sustainable. And basically, they're neat achievements. But here in South Dakota, check this out. So as you can see, this is a steel structure, and it's gone up very quickly. And I keep on telling you to reach out to Adam Good, and basically he's able to do a 3D rendering on a building, and we're able to even build in the Black Hills where other people can't. And the reason why the insurance companies are behind what we do, it's because we build fireproof structures. And when we put one of our structures up at the University of Texas at Austin in the wind tunnel, they couldn't even break our buildings down. So we hit 180 miles an hour and the wind tunnel broke, but our building remained. So it's just amazing with what we're able to do and how far Sustainable Angels has come. So again, we can knock out hotels, Motel 6s within a matter of about 3 months. And it's just really interesting technology. But if you have a house in the mountains, would you want that house? And I've had a log cabin forever, but when these forest fires break out, it's not necessarily something that can protect your family. Also, the RF factor on these walls is RF 4045, meaning it's a great way in which we can stay just nice and cozy even though there's maybe a couple feet of snow outside. Now right now the temperature is in the 30s and stuff is basically looking as it is, but this is a stand-up state filled full of stand-up people. And if you need to get away from clinically insane people, if you want your child to be raised in a nice environment where we don't have indoctrinated staff, if you want your children to be able to run around and not be worried, consider South Dakota. It's a good place to live, and it's a place where the water is clean. We got elk, we got pronghorn, we got deer and turkey, and probably the best trout fishing that there is. And again, safety. So anyways, we are doing what we can do. I've got to talk to a lot of my friends, if you can imagine. And it's nice to be in an area where people are respected and where our country is respected. One of the things I'm going to be talking about today is if everybody that resigned that didn't want to take the forced vaccination. General Lloyd Austin, remember, he had cancer. He didn't tell us about it, and he was AWOL on his job, but we forgave him. When he was asked if he would forgive the veterans that didn't take the vax, his answer was no. So therefore, I don't think that as a result that we should forgive him. We need to hold him accountable for treason, AWOL. That goes for General Lloyd Austin, and that also goes for General Miley. They want to say that Trump caused an insurrection. Well, the second part of that sentence is aiding and abetting the enemy. This Joe Biden administration aided and abetted the Taliban to the tune of $85 billion. Right now, Israel is suffering from those consequences. Benjamin Netanyahu might have gone out of control, but yet what do you do when you're all of a sudden being attacked by $85 billion worth of war weaponry that was gifted by the Biden administration? We're funding both sides. We can't have a tyrannical government that does this, because the victims are not only you and me, but all my friends that are buried underneath the ground. So we got to keep America great. And again, I'll make those posts on this timeline. They have me under Christopher Sanders and Chris Sanders at MAHANow.org. And Secretary of Energy is what I'd like to go for. If you couldn't hear me earlier, I believe that the answer is, and just so you know what's been happening, the King of Saudi Arabia read our bylaws, and he knows that once he would buy a refinery and shut it down, that the EPA would not let us reopen it. Well, I know all about it. I can articulately say that to the American public in Congress and the Senate, and more importantly through American News Network, to where we're not going to be hijacked. Now, how does this help the Indians? How does it help the people of the United States? Well, if we reestablish refineries over the basins, we don't need any of these ridiculous pipelines like Doug Bergman wants to do for CO2, or like Pete Buttigieg wants to do, and they are just con artist thieves. I believe every vote that's been cast for Doug was done by himself or members of his staff. As far as his likability, well, Kathy, you can chime in. She's up there, just a little bit north of me. But everybody's very sick of people that do not represent America. I want you to know that we got to stop John Thune and Thune from being a minority leader. One of the things that motivated me to run for Congress in South Dakota was when Congressman Dusty Johnson and Senator Thune and Senator Rounds, they did not endorse President Trump, whereas I would take a bullet for President Trump and defend him with every breath that I have and put my life on the line. I think that he needs a cabinet of people that are sincere to him, that care about him and God and country, because that's what we need. You need to put your money where your mouth is, and you need to be who you are, and you can't placate one side and placate the other. As you know, my yes is my yes and my no is my no, and there's no negotiating about it. And I know that the pipelines, every single one of them, are con artistry at its finest, just so that the King of Saudi can make us ship our oil. While we're shipping our oil, whether it's good or bad, the sulfur in it's being used as gunpowder then against ourselves. How does that make you feel? Whether it's gunpowder or saltpeter, we've got to keep all of our natural resources here. I also want to stop sending all coal as Director of Energy to China, because with sulfur and coal, wake up. Those are the two major ingredients for making gunpowder that we're giving the enemy, and those will be used against us in conventional wars. Who is supplying them with the coal? Who's supplying them with the sulfur? Well, we are. And we need a Secretary of Energy that can identify the parts per million and all the ingredients that they're using and stealing from us and turning it around and using it as war weaponry here in the United States. Now, I don't hear Doug Bergman knocking down the sulfur content in the oil and gas because he doesn't care. He just wants his little kickback check because he's a broke politician like most of them. I told you I'm going to work for free because I've got to save my children and my grandchildren, and that's just the fact. I think there's a lot of you that stand with me on this. And again, if you don't practice what you preach, if you're doing a ridiculous CO2 pipeline like Doug Bergman is, that has nothing to do with energy. All it has to do is stealing land from people so that the King of Saudi can get more resources from America. And what that enables them to do is not make a refinery in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana over the Bakken. You can go to thebakkenshale.com, read all about it. It's one of my websites. Because why? Because I pioneered it. That's why. You can also go to thebarnettshale.com in Texas and read about the Barnett Shale. That's where we invented shale to natural gas technology. They called me a quack 20 years ago, but now if you get a degree in reservoir engineering and petroleum reservoir engineering for shale under McGraw-Hill and Macmillan school books, you'll read my published articles and work. So I've educated the world on this. I know the science of this. And we can't have con artists, politicians saying that CO2 is needed when there's so many different other ways in which we can get it. Now, I'm going to tell you what I do differently and what Doug Bergman knows nothing about. This is a little education for you. So I discovered an anaerobic substrate from 10,000 to 20,000 feet deep. It's basically suffocated in a shale. The porosity permeability is so tight we have to measure it in an atomic measure called angstroms. Now, because of that and the atmospheric differences, it's very hard to stimulate it, but we get the anaerobic substrate what it needs to breathe, the CO2. And we use the ancient ocean basins like an anaerobic digester. So we're able to basically turn the CO2 into O2 while simultaneously creating millions of cubic feet of natural gas. Natural gas is what God gave us. We have all these prehistoric oceans from the Permian Basin, the Fort Worth Basin, the DJ Basin, the Bakken, the Williston Basin, the San Joaquin Basin. And what shale is organic clastic sediment by old ancient life that's in the ocean. And we can basically turn all that ocean matter through the shale and through proper CO2 stimulation into oxygen and into natural gas. Now, don't you think you need a Secretary of Energy that understands this process? Don't you think that you need a Secretary of Energy that understands that there's sulfur in parts per million that China and Saudi are sucking up? Don't you need a Secretary of Energy that's going to put his foot down on China receiving our coal? Because these are our competitors even when we make what's called U.S. steel. So we don't need to give them anything for making energy. We don't need to give them anything for making gunpowder. We need to keep that at home so that we have the raw natural resources to make America great again. We also need to basically understand when Hurricane Helene came up, what did it expose? It exposed Doug Bergman, it exposed Kamala Harris and the land grab, and how we have precious minerals that the world wants. They don't want to tell us about it. They want to leave us the victims. We cannot be the victims. A great place to stay here, that's why it's in the background, is this Hotel Alex Johnson. Been coming in and out of here for maybe a half a century. And back in 1928, when it was put together by Alex Johnson himself, and very next year, my dad, C.W. Sanders, was out here. And I want you to understand, we're not far from here, from Mount Rushmore. We're not far from Sturgis. And the Black Hills, motorcycle trips, and the beautiful plains of America await you. Well, I got a funeral to go do, and I just want you to know that this also marks the 1-year anniversary date of the death of my dearly beloved friend Joseph Keating, who was a victim of fentanyl coming in from China. And it's hitting us everywhere, from our food to our medication to prescribed medication, and it's a war weapon from China. And we need to control it. We need to instill the death penalty for people that are bringing it. If you're MS-13, if you're an illegal alien and you're caught with this stuff, I would like to have you publicly hung. Even though I'm Secretary of Energy, boy, I'd love to prosecute all these people for Trump. And I figured that as soon as they see the first guy hanging for a crime, that they'd skedaddle and get back on the other side of the border. We need to scare them. We can't give these people 3 years and 5 years in jail with room and board and food when we've already discovered 3.2 million pills in the state of South Dakota being shipped in from Canada, from Mexico, and now we're seeing people leaving the state of New York and other places because they want to come hide out in South Dakota. Well, I'm letting you know, as soon as you get here, we're going to throw your butts in the can. And when I talk to the district's attorneys, I'm recommending the death penalty for each and every one of you. And I hope Trump's going to help overturn these cases, because we need these scumballs out of here, and we need to clean house. Again, just so you know, God bless each and every one of you. Thank you, my veterans. Thank each and every one of you for serving our country. Work with me as we also reinstate everybody that quit their job because they didn't want to take an experimental vaccine. Understand, when I was hanging out with Major Thomas Haviland of the United States Air Force, who does the embalming for our citizens and also for our troops, that we discovered these fibristic tumor clots to where we couldn't even embalm our boys. And it's either coming from the shot or China screwing with our food. We got to put our foot down, and we got to understand that China is our enemy. I'd like to thank Kristi Noem for signing House Bill 1231 so that we seized all of the Chinese assets. And I'd like to approach you on behalf of the farmers of the state of South Dakota, where we can use that farmland for organic farming with the substrate that we found that can actually take all the glycophosphates and chemicals out of the soil within 1 season. People that don't know about Roundup, it has a 60-year half-life, so they say stuff is organic when it's 57 years shy from truly being organic. Once we basically make all this stuff happen, we'll have healthier soil. It's already cut down on all of the deaths. It turns out that the chemicals and the GMO corn from Monsanto is the common denominator for all these new diseases. So again, we got to go old school, and we got to have people that want to protect our country, not these phony politicians that basically are so broke they're ambulance chasers, in my opinion. God bless each and every one of you. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and spread this information on all the platforms, because I'm just doing this because I'm trying to protect the country and our families. God bless you.